Hello, love. Welcome to Soul Support Sundays here on the Libran Key. These are messages of soul support for the highest and the greatest good of the Elsh Collective. Empaths, lightworkers, starseeds, healers, awakened and awakening souls. Know that if this message has found you, or you have found it, that there is something here for you. That is always the intention that I put into these messages. Today's soul support message is going to be a very quick one. It's a timely yet timeless message as always. This is going to be a purely channeled message. And I'm working with the crystal selenite for this, just selenite. And we'll get into why we're working specifically with selenite, okay, for this particular message. Now, I kind of let this message be one to be as open and as quick and as medicinal as possible as we move into the darkest days of the year, right before the winter solstice. There's something about this time of year that, especially for, I'm hearing those of us walking the path, spirit coming through specifically for this message. We may have some other energies. I'm leaving it open again to messages for the highest, or for beings or energies who want to bring in messages for the highest and greatest good of the Elsh Collective to come through for this. Going into the meditation, just before I started here to sort of get a feel for what the focus will be as I bring these messages through, I saw images of what looked like a series of V's, like overlapping themselves, coming out of the darkness, exactly kind of how it looks like here on the chalkboard, making V's. And then I saw these V's turn into M shapes like this. I heard, study the V, study the womb. And M being a symbol here for mother, for matter, for the divine feminine. I'm feeling very much the energies today in general of Mother Isis wanting to come through to support us in that. And for that, I am going to bring in some Lapis Lazuli for this reading as well. Okay. And one of the things that, thank you, Mama Iset. One of the things that she's wanting to bring through is when you look at lapis and you see these gold specks and these white specks in this dark blue stone. This is the energy of the night sky, is how she wants us to look at it quite simply. And the energy that we see of light in dark, and also wanting to bring a completely new understanding, which for some of you might not even be new, is what she's saying to me, but bringing in a new perspective, a new light of consciousness to darkness and what darkness is, okay? So study the V, study the womb. Now the V, how she's showing it to me, and I'm just going to get into now some of the messages that want to come through here. She's showing me the V as the womb, okay? Showing me that symbol, and that's why I've written it here in this way, as you can see right here, okay? In this symbol. There's something about it that always, she keeps on showing me a chalice. She's showing me the energies of a chalice. She's showing me the energies of, like, this is connected to the Holy Grail. This is connected to so many different cultures, so many different philosophies the world over. The energy of the womb, the cauldron, okay? Is it Caradwyn, the name? I'm not very familiar with a lot of the Celtic goddesses, but I know that that's coming through as well. I always see her with a womb or a cauldron. And when you look into a cauldron and it's filled with water, what you see essentially is darkness. And darkness is prima materia, is how Mother Isis is showing it to me. And it's very much connected to water and the element of water. So all of these symbols, the V, the M, the fact that the M is written with a V in it is significant. We're looking at almost sacred kind of geometry here, right? And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, and now she's showing me she's showing me Pamela's, you know, the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Ace of Cups, okay? And this symbolism that's within this connection to water, W, and the womb. So we have an M and we have a W when you flip it up, right? And how all of this is connected. And she's actually, what she's prompting me to share with you is for you to look at this yourself and study it yourself as a light worker, as a starseed, a healer, an empath, someone who's connected to the energies, the subtle energies is how she's showing it to me, to symbols, to, I'm even hearing the word semantics, if that resonates for some of you. The nuances is how she's showing it to me. And she really wants to bring it back to simplicity, because this goes into the cyclical nature of Mama Gaia, us being here on Earth, incarnated as human beings here on Mama Gaia, and how this time of year is very reflective of that. And I always see the changing of the seasons, and with the solstices and the equinoxes as points that reflect the lunar cycles as well, meaning that we are now moving into the way we are in, and we have been since the fall equinox, in a sort of last quarter waning moon phase, where things naturally begin to slow down, where we start to look inward versus outward, where it's very much like I'm getting the imagery of the hermit, right? Energies of Diogenes, right? The ancient story of Diogenes, the man seeking himself, or the light within, right? And these are times where when we resist the darkness of the year, when we resist the absence of light, we make it more difficult for ourselves to tune into the nuances and the quote unquote semantics, right, of the year, of this part of the year. Because what the absence of light does is it makes us honor that light even more. And that's why we have celebrations, for example, like Yule, like Christmas. The winter solstice is a celebration in many ways amongst many different cultures and ancient peoples' practices, reverence of this return of the light. And this ties into the Feeling Fridays message that I posted as well, which I'm going to link here, because there's something in the message there that relates to this too, with regard to the yin yang, and this very beautiful symbolism around that we get from this ancient Chinese philosophy of essences and understanding, integration and balance. And so really what she's wanting to bring through for this message is, even though we are living in a world where during this time of year, especially in Western cultures, Christian, Judeo-Christian based cultures and countries, where there's this sort of amped up materialism, is what she's kind of showing it to me as, like, where we need to go do this, we're so engaged in the physical reality around us, in doing things, in that very kind of masculine energy of, I got to get this gift done, that gift done for this person, I got to go to this party, I got to go to this event, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Or perhaps you're also she wants to also acknowledge here those of us who have issues with family, where this time of year is very much about, family and celebrations and getting together with people and having to face certain people you might not want to see, right? That we need to really honor ourselves and our light during this time of year. And this is a really great time of the year to also create very healthy boundaries and exercise those boundaries when it comes to how we are taking care and tending to our own light and our own energy. Okay, that's how she's showing it to me. Bringing me back to the selenite here. You can almost say, like, I've heard selenite referred to as like pure light, right? This is a pure kind of light energy crystal. There's a very obviously lunar connection to this as well. And it's really interesting because it's one crystal, because it's so prevalent. I have come across many different ways that people resonate with selenite and how it works for them or how they interact with it. Okay, how she's showing it to me is, this is really great. She's showing me like the energy of this coming across our aura. She's showing the energy of selenite clearing our aura, but also connecting us much more deeply back into our own light. And there's a reflective quality to selenite. Again, she wants us to get really simple, just like with studying the V, studying the M, looking at the symbolism in the actual letter and how it's written, okay? There's meaning to that. There's significance to that. The sounds V and M and how they resonate with us. The sound, the word womb, the word water, how that resonates for us in the English language. And the crazy thing is that obviously she's focusing very much on the English wording for this and the roots of it. If you're a student of etymology, by all means, like, go nuts with this, because it's really, really fascinating. Etymology and the meaning of words and where they come from and where we get the origin of words is it's like there's coding in that. There's an unlocking that happens when you study those things. The same way that simply meditating on these V shapes and these M shapes and these womb shapes and these chalice shapes, the look of crystals, right? And how selenite has this reflective quality is so much connected to the work around this divine feminine energy, this going inward, this honoring the light within, okay? The light in the darkness, the yin to the yang, or really it's yang to the yin, light to the darkness, right? In that respect. And having this much more, a deeper understanding of what darkness is. Because, and this is something that she wants to address now, and I always feel very strongly about this too, that we have a very, and this can be an ongoing thing to talk about because it's such a huge topic. We have a very, for the most part, in the Judeo-Christian traditions that we are now living in currently here on Mama Gaia, in the cultures that really uphold these traditions, these perspectives, we have a very one-dimensional understanding of what darkness is. And darkness is ultimately equated with evil or bad. Now, she's saying this is natural, that this would happen when we're living in a dualistic world or a dualistic framework. It's very easy to see things very black and white, right? No pun intended here. It's very easy to fall into but she's showing me that that's a really superficial way to look at it. And she's not saying that in a judging way. She's not saying it like, oh, you're being superficial if you see it that way. Because she's saying simply in a very clear manner that this is a very surface way of seeing it. Because she's also pointing me to the fact that just like in the yin-yang, there is darkness and light as well. And you can almost argue that in the light, there is a certain there can be negative connotations to the light as well. There can be a misrepresentation of the light. And so much of it is coming back to this energy being the new currency. It's about you honing your own light, your own connection to yourself, your own connection to source, your own connection to Mama Gaia, your own connection to your intuition, in developing your discernment, in developing your ability to discern the truth. and not seeing something simply for how it appears itself to be, because this goes back to this superficial way of seeing things, where we see it only for what it is on the surface. And going within and going inward is an especially, like, it's the start of that. It is the way that we hone our ability to understand our own energy, the energy of others, to get a much more deeper understanding of what all of this means. Darkness, light, black, white. You know, seeing things in a very black and white way is only one perspective out of many in which to more deeply understand all of these nuances in these energies, all of it. Okay. Now, I also want to just kind of bring back this lapis here, because the lapis crystal is very much associated with the third eye. It's associated with vision, with clairvoyance, with developing your intuition and your discernment. So working with these two in tandem can be one of the ways that you can tap into understanding this discernment much better with regard to your own light. And she's actually using, I'm hearing light of understanding, your own light of understanding. She's showing me a lot of this is about awareness around yourself, awareness about how we can jump to conclusions about things. Just being aware of where we do that is the beginning of it all. And also meditating on these symbols, especially during this time of the year or any time of the year that you want to go inward, because it is very much connected to these divine feminine energies of going deeper, of going within, of understanding the more multifaceted aspects of darkness, because darkness is not the same thing as evil. Evil is a specific kind of energy, a specific kind of intention, that what she's showing me is it's not necessarily devoid of light. It's devoid of compassion. It's devoid of love and understanding. It's devoid, almost, you could argue, of truth, of ultimate truth, because there's so much around those energies of evil. And this is kind of where we can kind of sort of warp what darkness does, because darkness shows us light, but that doesn't always mean that it needs to be evil. And she's showing the analogy here of when you light a match or a candle in a dark room, and how I'm also hearing darkest before the dawn as an analogy to that, where the light shines that much brighter in the darkness. And you know what? She wants me to leave it there. She wants you to meditate on that. She wants each and every one of us to really meditate on what that means for us. And that can be something as a practice moving forward, something that she is offering to us to really meditate and reflect upon as we begin to move into these darkest days of the year and towards the winter solstice. Okay. Thank you, Mama Isat. I'm going to end it there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your time and your space, your energy with me in this space. And I'm sending you so much love wherever you are, in love and liberation, always.